You also bored of helipads, but whenever you try and get your helicopter inside your base, this happens because the goddamn door is just too small? Or you think you're especially resourceful and try to put it on the truck, but then this happens and you still haven't gotten your helicopter inside your garage? Well, then this video is hopefully for you. One of the most basic ways in which you can probably park your helicopter is by simply having a big hole in your roof about this size so you can get it inside safely. The only problem is having to fill that up with floors and scaffolding every time is quite expensive, so that's probably not such a good idea. Another idea is just to build yourself a garage with a front porch or a ramp in front of it such that you can land the helicopter safely, and then take out the sphere and push it into the garage. Though this does take quite some time, it does work. As you can see, the helicopter is now inside and the door closes. Unfortunately, I have had to remove some scaffolding and it took forever, so this is really just not a good idea. However, it's probably the easiest way to build and the best possibility of building very safely because it's the easiest way that you can layer quite effectively while still being able to put the helicopter inside. Additionally, you might want to consider to just keep this as storage for when you go off the server or are gone for a long while, and you might want to consider just instead putting a fence around that outer porch that you build so that you can keep it there while you're on server or within short distance to the helicopter, so they probably won't get stolen that easy from there. And then whenever you go off the server, or you don't need the helicopter for a long time or anything of the sort, you can go ahead and push it inside. But as I said, that is quite labor intensive, and so I have one last idea which is quite interesting, but it does sort of work, so I would like to show it to you, and that is this very long garage. It is made up of a roof of trapdoors, loads of them, and its height is one large wall and one small, not medium wall at the front, and then at the back it needs an extra small wall or a big wall and a medium wall. This is because the tail rotor or the tail of the Mozzie or helicopter is unfortunately slightly taller than the rest of the helicopter, and so the trapdoors wouldn't close on top of it. However, building the main structure higher might be risky because it might damage the rotor while starting. Anyway, I'll show you how this will work in practice in a second, but beforehand, in order to place these doors these trapdoors, you always have to place one and then open them directly, because otherwise they won't like to place opposite of each other and next to one another. However, while they are open, they are basically, there's no collision, and it's as if they don't exist mostly. So let me show you the whole thing in action, how it works. So first, as you can see, you'll have to fly on the roof, trying to get as far back with the helicopter as possible so that the tail is above the higher part. Then while you're on top, you can already start opening some of the hatches. Well, we won't be needing all of those. Let's start here. And then you will want to open all except for 2 hatches in the middle of the helicopter, for those 2. And then very carefully open one of them. And you can open the second one as well and then just walk back. It should be fine falling backwards. But just to be safe, I have a ladder installed here so that I can also just get on top and open it from there. But to show you that it's alright like this as well, I'll quickly do that. And as you can see, the helicopters fall down and the blades of the helicopter are just above the trap doors, which means they will not get broken during takeoff. I'll quickly show you that the doors do close. And as you can see, the top ones behind the rotor also close. And as you can see, everything's closed even though the rotor is still there. One thing that you do have to be mindful of is that there is a small gap, and though people can't just simply steal your helicopter, they can still shoot at it through this gap. So you have to be careful of that. Anyway, if you then want to get back out, if you want to lift off, you first need to open all of the trapdoors again. Sorry, not the trapdoors, the hatches. Alright, before you lift off, make sure that even though you've parked far back, you haven't parked so far back that your main rotor hits the upper smaller walls. If it does that, then you have to use your spear to get the helicopter facing more forward. Anyway, if it isn't doing that and you are far enough up front, you can hold Alt so that you go straight up, press W, and as you can see, with no problem, I am outside of the garage and I can land safely somewhere else so that I can go ahead and lock up the garage. I do, however, not advise this garage unless you do have a little bit of experience with flying the helicopter already, a little bit much, because it might be quite challenging, first of all, to land on such a small space, and also to land the helicopter in such a way that the tail is barely underneath this part, but also that the main rotor isn't touching these slabs, because otherwise you will destroy it. So this base might be quite hard to get right, and not to destroy your main rotor on too often. As another notice, you can also try to land directly in here. You don't have to land on the closed slabs, open them and let it fall down. You can also directly land inside. However, this is even harder than doing what I did beforehand. Also, it is quite essential that it is so long so that you have a little bit of space for correction later on. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed my suggestions for garage ideas. If you have any other ideas, do post them in the comments. For instance, what I've tried to do is make a whole roof out of these hatches. However, even though you can get it to cover a bigger area with these hatches, you kind of have to do it in a finicky way, and when you do it, you have to build walls and remove walls, and after you remove those walls, which you need to do so that you can actually land inside, it will happen that after some time the hatches will despawn. So until they get a bigger hatch, I'm afraid this is the only way that I know of. Anyway, as I said, if you have any creative ideas on different garages, um, do hit me up in the comments. And as I said, I hope you've enjoyed, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.